Hello, I am Miss Michelle and I will be running today's webinar. So let's have a look. Today we will be looking at supporting your child's learning through reading. So we will have a look at reading and explain why it is so important. We'll outline the WSF approach to reading from KG and throughout primary. We'll share ways that you can support your child's learning at home. So, what is reading? Reading is making meaning from print. It requires us to identify the words in print, which is word recognition. So that's understanding what the letters in the words say and how it makes up the words. It requires us to construct an understanding from them. So that's using the words to understand the sentence. And this is called comprehension. And it requires us to identify the words and make meaning so that reading is automatic and accurate, and this is the fluency. Reading can be silent, so it can be in our head, or it can be aloud so that other people can hear us. When you are reading with children when they are younger and just learning to read, it will be aloud so that you can hear them. Why is reading important? Reading is a highly valuable skill. It greatly broadens vocabulary and helps with speaking. It helps to spark the imagination and stimulate curiosity. It helps to learn about the world. It helps to learn how to handle books and learn the values of stories. It can help explain new experiences and events. So reading at WSF and at home. At WSF, reading is included in many of the lessons, especially English, where the task is linked to a fiction or non-fiction book for the children to base their work upon. They might retell the story, or they will use the book to find information to answer questions or develop their learning. During lessons, we will display the text and we will model reading as well as encourage the children to read. They will either read this independently or during the group or class work. Our phonic work will play a big part in our reading, particularly with the younger children, and this will help them to read by sight some words that they'll know and also help them to sound out unfamiliar words. So we use the Active Learning the Book Club, and here is a video to help you access it. So that is a lot of information for you to take in, but the main points are that you log into the Active Learn or ask your child to, they click on My Stuff, choose a book to read, and as they are reading their book, make sure all the activities are done so that the bugs are asleep, and then they will be given a new book. This will help them to progress throughout the levels and improve their reading during their time at school and at home. So reading progression then. When the children first start to read, it is really important to build up their language skills. So this is their talking. So to start off with, initially reading with your child is about talking and will include singing to them as well, particularly things like nursery rhymes. Discuss the pictures in books, and then for you as an adult to read to them and model reading with clear fluency and expression. As their own reading and their own phonic knowledge and their knowledge of sight words improve, then they will begin to do the reading themselves. This might be quite slow because they will need a lot of time to think about the words and sound out. After that, the children will begin to read familiar stories and text with increasing fluency. They will start to self-correct. Then all of these skills are built upon and the children will become a more fluent reader with little or no mistakes, and they will start to read longer texts and a range of different texts. And then finally, they will start to read for pleasure, or they may read for information. So here is some of the progression from the levels and how it may sound. So this is a child who is starting to read, and they need the time, need to have the time to think. They might need help following words and sounding out. And when they've read, it's important to model the sentence and encourage them to say it with that fluency. So let's hear it. Okay, and then after that, the children will continue to use their phonic knowledge. They will read it with a little bit more fluency, and it's important at this stage to let the children look at the pictures, work out the new words and read the book, and then go back and read it again. So let's listen to how this may sound. And then on the next step, the children will continue to read and sound their words out, and they are starting to realise when they've made a mistake and will self-correct. So here it is important to allow the child time again to go back and correct and sound out the words, and also might be useful to re-say the sentence so that you are modelling well for them. And then as the child progresses, they will then need to be encouraged to listen to their own reading and check that they're making sense, and then encouraged to add expression or voices or a bit more pace to their reading. So you could encourage the children on here, where this is a song, to read the song or do it in their best pirate voice. So sharing stories every day is really important. This will help the children to improve with their reading. If you cannot hear the children every day, then some of the other things that you can do that will help is talk about your day and events. So if you're in the car on the way to the shops or to or from school, ask the child to retell you their day. What have they done? Can they reorder the event? This will then help them for when they are reordering events in stories. You can also talk lots about the books that you share. So if you do have a chance to share books, talk a lot about them. Ask questions as you are going through the story, and this will help your child's understanding. You could also play games with sounds and words. So this could also be another game while you're in the car, or just to set the children off. And you can look for and encourage opportunities to read, so like reading the road signs or signs of buildings, read menus or shopping lists, or if you are out and there's lots of information boards, encourage the children to read those also. So help with reading. So talking about books is important for all children. While reading each night, you could try to ask some of these questions. So if you haven't got time to read a full book, you might just want to look at the front cover and ask the children to guess what the book will be about. Then you could read it the following day. At the end, you could discuss whether your child liked the book, and if they did, can they explain why? If they did not, can they explain why not? You could discuss what the book was about, or a chapter if it's quite a thick book. And you could also go back to here, if you've looked at the front cover and the children made a guess, was their prediction right? If they come across some new words that they don't mean, you could ask them what do they think it means, and then explain. And you could also think about, does the book remind you of any other books that you've read? Has it got the same characters in, or does it have a similar plot? And then finally, to help with reading, read books on a topic your child enjoys. So if they really enjoy animals, then you could read books about animals. If they're really into cars, then read books about cars. So try and use the topics that they like for them to encourage them to read even more. So when you're reading at home, to help with reading, it would be useful to turn off the TV and maybe put your phone to the side so that you can really listen to and talk to your child about the books. You'll be able to model the reading, and you could ask the children questions. This will also stop the children from being distracted. You could share the book and first do a picture walk. So you could just look through the pictures on each page and discuss what is happening. You could also share some key and new words, might be the names of the characters, or it could just be a tricky word that you think your child may not know. You could encourage your child to segment, that's breaking up the words into their sound parts and using their phonics, and then blend them back together so that they get to read the word as a whole. And then you could play some spelling or some word games. So you could have things like magnets on the fridge that you can move around and make words. You could play something like a hangman game, or just any game. It could be a storybook game. So can you find the characters? Can you write the names of the characters? Can you list them? And then, because reading is so important, here are some, I'd like to end the session now with some important quotes about the importance of reading. So we have, today a reader, tomorrow a leader. So if your child develops a love of reading and they learn lots of information from their books, then they can go anywhere. They will be our leaders tomorrow. They will have all the knowledge that they need. Another one, reading gives us a place to go when we have to stay where we are. So reading allows us to use our imagination and to come up with some great ideas. And then finally, if your child is saying that they're struggling with reading, then the only way to improve, so 10 ways to become a better reader, is to read, and read some more. So finally then, thank you very much for listening to this webinar. If you do have any further questions that you would like answering, then please do send me an email at michelle.m_wsf@gemsedu.com, and we will work really hard on getting back to you as soon as possible. Thank you once again.